Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. My God, we have a lot to cover. Serena Williams is pulling a Meghan Markle. Harry and Meghan are getting an award that they don't deserve. And of course, Harry claims the men in gray suits are trying to sabotage his reunion. There's a lot. So let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We are going to start off this morning with Princess Beatrice, her and her husband, Eduardo Mopelli Mosey, apparently had a great reunion. They were seen in Thursday in Mayfair having lunch at a place called Scott's. Now remember, Beatrice just got back from New York. She attended the Women's Rise for All lunch during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. And she was with Princess Eugenie, which I didn't realize when I reported to you guys last week. Anyway, these two are absolutely adorable, and I'm glad that her husband is being such a wonderful, fabulous support for her. And thank you to Remoulade Sauce, because without this one picture, I wouldn't have known that Eugenie and Beatrice were both in New York at Hidden Threads Fake Fashion at the event. Now, sticking with Princess Beatrice, I think this is kind of unfair. She is getting the repercussions of what happened with her mother and that email with Jeffrey Epstein. We know that 8 charities have cut ties with Fergie, and it looks like now Beatrice is going to be able to have a lot more time to comfort her, because Beatrice had a charity called Outward Bound Trust. After 6 years, that has come to an end. Now, Andrew was also with that charity. He had been patron for 3 years and previously had been chairman of the board of trustees since 1999. And he stepped down after his interview. And before that, Prince Philip was patron for 65 years. So their head of marketing communication said that Beatrice's contribution was greatly valued. And as to the future, all she'll say is that a new role for the princess will be announced in due course. Sad. Moving on. All right, moving on. This story is back in the press. Let me explain. Remember, in 2007, William and Catherine got back together after their headline-making split earlier on in the year. And in Valentine's Day of 2008, William was apparently very eager to show Catherine that he was in it for the long haul. And so Grant Harold, King Charles's former butler, served a romantic dinner for the pair. And we heard all about it in his book, The Royal Butler: My Remarkable Life in Royal Service. And he talked about how William really wanted to prove to Catherine he was serious about the future of their relationship. He said it was fresh, like a double boost. They were both making an effort. They had this romantic dinner for Valentine's Day, which they asked me to do, which they had never done before. Suddenly they wanted to do that. And I felt like William was saying, look, I'm serious. This is going up a level. I think that's cool. All right, let's move on. Now, keeping with William, this is really cool. William appears in an upcoming special edition of Eugene Levy's The Reluctant Traveler, titled Living the Royal Life in the UK. So this guy is seen arriving in the UK, and he gets a royal summons from William himself to visit nearby Windsor Castle. I think it's hilarious because when the guy gets there onto the property, here comes William on his power scooter. We've seen William drive one of these before, but still. So then they start talking.
Provide this service for everyone. We do personalized tours everywhere.
Then they go strolling around the grounds, and you see Orla, their black cocker spaniel, running next to them. And here's the conversation.
What do you do when you're home?
Sleep.
Really?
When you've got 3 small children, sleep was an important part of my life.
Then they sat down in a local pub for a pint, when William got really candid about the struggles of recent years.
I'd say 2024 was the hardest year I've ever had. You know, life is sent to test us as well, and being able to overcome that is what makes us who we are.
So let's not forget 23 and 24 are when his father and his wife were diagnosed with cancer. Now, William has also said he's very proud of both of them for handling things the way that they have. But from a personal point of view, it was a lot and it was brutal. Poor man. I am so glad that things have calmed down for him and, of course, the children. Now, still sticking with William, he was seen arriving in Aberdeen Airport to spend some time with his father in Scotland. And one more story I wanted to touch on really quickly. You remember that William and Catherine are going to be moving to a new royal residence, Forest Lodge in Windsor. It's being reported that King Charles is totally supporting that decision to raise the children away from London because they've had such a difficult year in 2024. And they're saying, or the king says, if prioritizing his family helps make William a better king, it's got to be a good investment. I love it. Really quickly, I absolutely love the fact that Catherine made the cover of OK. She got the right corner. Love it. All right, next up, Princess Anne. She unveiled a new portrait of her brother, King Charles, on Friday at the Scottish Parliament. The photograph was taken by Millie Pinkerton last year in the sunken garden of Balmoral Castle ahead of the King's appearance to mark the Parliament's 25th anniversary. It shows King Charles surrounded by heather and dressed in the King Charles tartan while holding a handcrafted stick gifted to him at the May Highland Games. I love this. Now, she has previously unveiled a portrait of the late Queen in Parliament's main hall back in 2011. Anyway, this is the young lady who took the picture. She's taken plenty of pictures of the Wales family before, and Princess Anne was seen leaving with Alison Johnstone, the presiding officer of the Scottish Parliament. Let's move on now to Prince Edward. He joined the celebrations marking the 200th anniversary of the Stockton and Darlington Railway. There were thousands of enthusiasts there and families. They lined the track to watch the replica of Locomotion Number 1 set off to Darlington. Edward arrived in the Locomotion Museum for a tour. He met volunteers and he spoke with crowds before stepping aboard the quote-unquote experiment, which was pulled by the newly restored locomotive. Now, this had a profound impact on the world because this gave birth to modern railway. It changed how the world traded, traveled, and communicated. Now, the Duke of Edinburgh was standing on one of the platforms that was the first in the world, not in the UK, but in the world. Very interesting. And as part of the celebrations, they had a unique exhibition train curated in partnership with the National Railway Museum that's on display. Edward then traveled to Hopetown in Darlington. He met with the mayor of Darlington, Councillor Sonia Kane, and the mayor of Stockton, Councillor Stephen Richardson. He had a tour of the current exhibition of Steam to the Future and Titans of Steam, and that celebrates the rails industry and iconic steam locomotives. Pretty cool. By the way, in case you didn't notice in any of the other pictures, Sir Tim Lawrence was there as well, helping Edward with this particular event. And I think they both look fabulous. All right, we're going to move back to Princess Anne. She thanked the people of Dunfermline for remembering the sacrifice of hundreds of men and women as she marked the centenary of the city's war memorial. She rededicated the first war memorial, which has undergone a £200,000 refurbishment. There were 610 brave people who gave their lives during the conflict and whose names are carved on the stone cenotaph. Very nice. Princess Anne laid a wreath, saying the memorial reflects the impact of the war on ordinary citizens. This ceremony took place 100 years to the day after the memorial's original dedication. There was a procession from the Abbey, and then there was music that continued with the playing of In Honorem. I hope I'm saying that correct. There was the district pipe band. It just looked lovely. And finally, the Princess Royal, who is patron of the Lord Lyon Society, attended a reception in the Lord Clerk Register's room of General Register House, and she met some 70 society supporters. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. I have to bring this up. Remember when Meghan claimed she was part Malta, and then she claimed she was part Nigerian? Did you know that in the past, she claimed to be part Jewish? This woman can reinvent herself over and over and over. All right, next up, remember that ring that Meghan was wearing? In case you didn't know, it's called the Queen Water Drop Moonstone ring. And they're saying that by her wearing that, she was making a statement. That wasn't lost on any royal watchers, especially given her relationship to her official title. All right, before we move on, I have a few more small articles I want to touch on. This is one of them. They're saying that Meghan is actually weighing up to return to acting roles because, after all, her Netflix series has bombed. Everything is bombing that she's doing. And they're saying that going back to acting is going to be humiliating. But the truth is, she was a terrible actress, and no one in Hollywood's going to want to cast her in big projects because she seemed toxic. So she's doomed to chase something that won't succeed like everything else she touches. All right, now I wanted to touch on this also. Remember, Meghan was offered a radio show that she would broadcast from the United States on the channel that she said she missed in the UK, even though you can listen to it in the United States. Well, just as an FYI, according to Neil Sean, the plan is for Meghan to start this show ahead of her Christmas special, probably to land on the same day of Catherine's Christmas Carol production, and the second one to air on Christmas Day, the same time as the King's Speech. And now, since Spotify is gone and Netflix is essentially gone and her with love Meghan plopping down and her as ever not doing well, Meghan puts out this ridiculous video with the dead flowers still on the floor, and she zooms in on the vase that has her as ever logo that she stole from a town on it. And the idea is to let you know that now she's breaching out into home decor. I mean, she just can't help herself. It's going to flop just like everything else. I just don't understand what she thinks she's doing. All right, here's one of our two bigger stories for today. Harry and Meghan are heading back to New York. We know that New York City is going to give them extra protection at cost to the taxpayers. Good luck with that, New York City people. They're going there to accept a recognition for their mental health advocacy. They're accepting an award from Project Healthy Minds Humanitarian of the Year Award at their Mental Health Day Gala on Thursday, October 9th. And then on the 10th, they're attending the Project Healthy Minds 4th Annual World Mental Health Day Festival. Now, of course, they're going to take it over. They're putting up their lost screen memorial that they unveiled in April. Now, when you look at their first lineup of who's going to be talking, none of these people, except for Katie Couric, jump out at me. None of them. So here are some highlights of what the news had to say about this event. Listen to this.
What's that?
Well, they're off to New York because they are getting an award there. They do have this remarkable ability to find awards that no one's ever heard of and go up and collect them, but particularly in the area of advising families and children and making online a safer space. I think Whipper and his cohorts might be doing a hell of a lot more than Harry and Meghan are in that space. Now, bear in mind, of course, they're also getting this award for his work in the area of mental health, but he's paid to do that. He is the Chief Impact Officer of an organisation called Gettr, which is terrific, I'm not knocking it, but it's an extremely profitable business. It's not a charity. They're not doing it for nothing. And he is getting over $1 million a year to represent them, and now he gets to collect an award as well. So there'll be obviously arguments to and fro as to whether this is deserving or not. But in terms of the organisation, they're thrilled about it. That's great.
This is about the parent network. Remember, it's a chat room that they opened up, and because God forbid these parents couldn't talk without the chat room. And all I remember from this entire thing was Meghan couldn't keep her hands off of her hair, and if she wasn't playing with her hair, then she was touching Harry's leg, and Harry looked completely repulsed during the entire thing. So as I've told you in previous videos, the parent network was set up by somebody else, and once again, they are getting the award and taking the credit for something that somebody else did. Now, for those of you who may not be aware of this, a blind item recently came out that said they're getting this award because they promised a donation. Let's see if that happens. All right, let's move on to our next story. So here we go. We know that Harry met with King Charles, and apparently the meeting was very formal, and it was reported that Harry was surprised by the formalities and even joked he felt more like an official visitor than a family member. The exchanges were being held in a similar style to that of dignitaries and visitors at royal residences. A gift was given. It was a picture. Nobody knew what was in the picture. And back and forth it went. Also at the time, by the way, Harry was told no to the half in, half out. The trip back allegedly was supposed to be on patronages. Well, let me tell you, it didn't take long. There were leaks about what happened to the meeting. Remember, Harry was told this had to be private. He had to show that he could keep his mouth shut. So now he's come out and spoken out saying that the recent reportings of the tone of the meeting is false. The quotes attributed to him are pure invention fed. One can only assume by sources intent on sabotaging any reconciliation between father and son. And those same sources chose to disclose that gifts were exchanged. And while we would have preferred such details to remain private, for the sake of clarity, we can confirm a framed photograph was handed over, and the image did not contain the Duke and Duchess. So basically, Harry handed his father a picture of the kids. So Harry is suggesting that the story about the meeting with the king is from somebody intent on sabotaging any reconciliation. He said it's in a government stitch-up, it's the men in gray suits. Isn't he the one who gave the interview to The Guardian, or am I missing something? I think it's pretty obvious that Harry's side leaked the information, but you can see from the spokesperson's quote that what he's doing is reinforcing Harry's belief that people within the palace are briefing and planting, and that they're trying to stop the reconciliation. Harry never takes responsibility for anything. All right, let's keep moving. All right, we are ending with Serena Williams. First of all, she finally got around to getting some wine from Meghan Markle, and she put up this Instagram movie. But she didn't put it where it stays. So you get to see this and then it disappears. I think it's about time that she finally gave the poor girl some wine. And then the next thing that happened was Serena was out in a hotel, and in the hallway there was a cotton plant. And so Serena stopped to remark on it. Walks up to the arrangement and goes, "All right, everybody, how do we feel about cotton as a decoration? Personally, for me, it doesn't feel great." Then the next scene, she's holding a piece of cotton going, "It actually just feels like nail polish remover cotton wiping her nails." Then she makes a cringing gesture and walks off. So my first thought was, I can't take her seriously while she's wearing her blonde wig. God. And as for my own personal opinion, when you are worth $350 million and you're wearing your blonde wig as you're separated because, you're in New York and your white husband is at home in California, to find out that you have a piece of artwork that was posted by your husband on social media of a sculpture having a mound of cotton inside your home seems a little hypocritical. Now, of course, her husband jumped right to her defense going, using a monument for a promise as some kind of a gotcha is stupid. No, I don't think it's stupid at all. I think it shows that Serena's trying to pull the race card and people aren't falling for it. She ought to take her $350 million. She's so oppressed and go on with herself. I have to say, only in the United States of America can you stay in a 5-star hotel in a blonde wig and designer clothes to go hang out with your millionaire friends, and you get rattled by a fake cotton plant in the hallway while you're worth $350 million. This race baiting is just not going well. If Serena was hoping to get support from this backlashed horribly. People put comments down like, "Do people in America not wear cotton clothes?" And a woman named Jamie said, "Well, I'm Asian. Should I be offended whenever people throw rice at weddings?" And somebody else said, "Listen, it's a plant. They didn't ask you to pick it." So this constant race baiting thing that she does, that Meghan's, has done, is just not working anymore. She's one of these people. Go take your $350 million and just go enjoy your freaking life and stop it all. I mean, this is just crazy. Oh my God. All right, you guys know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, lots of recipes. Finn the dog, the rescue animals are on there. You're going to want to go take a look at that. A link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.